Welcome to Senior Happenings, with the resource for our seniors in our community. We're so excited to have the guest today, Dr. Lazarte from Basis Health. Dr. Lazarte has been doing this for many, many years and has come up with this wonderful senior resource for us in our community. So let's get to it. Thank you so much, Dr. Lazarte, for joining us.
I appreciate a lot for the invite to be here.
So please tell us Basis Health.
So Basis Health is a company that we started a few years back. And the purpose of our program is to increase access of care for mostly the senior population. And that makes a lot of sense to be here talking about these issues. So the majority of our patients are elderly, and we do a mobile service. So the same program or the same kind of thing that doctors used to do back in the 1900s, 1800s, where the doctor would go to the patient's home. That's exactly what we do. And we provide a lot more services than at that time. Not only primary care services, but we also do urgent care, and we do wound care, pain management. So there's a lot of services that we provide for elderly patients. And there's many reasons why we do these, but that's what Basis Health is. It's a program that increases the access of care for this population that happens to be an underserved population. So when we talk about underserved populations, we always talk about, populations that may, if you see the definition of underserved populations, are populations that lack access to basic things such as healthcare or economic opportunities. In our case, the elderly population is an underserved population because of the lack or difficulty of accessing healthcare for them. So our program is basically designed to improve access of care for this population. So,
Well, I remember I grew up in England,
yeah.
And doctors and nurses would come and do home visits, especially for young children and our seniors. I can remember my grandmother getting visits by the nurse.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it made so much difference in the longevity of her life.
Yeah, so there is a lot of reasons why going homes makes sense. One is comforting to know that someone can come to you, but the other thing is the elderly patients have a difficulty going to primary care services and actually to any care services. And what we want to avoid is in getting access of care in the ER and the hospital, because there's been several studies that have shown that increasing access of care through those services, through the ER and the hospital, is a bad thing to do for them. In fact, increases morbidity and mortality. Those are kind of technical words in the medical field, but these are things such as like you die younger and you don't live as good as you used to live if you get access to medical services through the ER and the hospital. So we know it's not good for elderly population, and that's why we try to provide those services at home so they avoid going to the hospital, to the ER. Now, why is it good to do these home services? Is because there's many reasons why, but one of them is the fact that patients have difficulty going. But the other thing is one of the things that we find interesting in this type of care is that as we go to patients' homes, we discover that there is a lot more social issues that have a component to healthcare delivery that we're not aware of. So when the patients go to a patient's clinic, they go to the clinic and they see the patient seems groomed and taking a shower, but you never know the environment where they live. And the environment where they live makes a difference in the care that they receive. So there's many reasons why home care services really does make a difference in patients' care. So.
Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, would you give us a little background on your education and what landed you here in Northwest Arkansas?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I am originally from Bolivia in South America, so I came to this country when I was 20 years old. And I went to medical school in Omaha, Nebraska, at Creighton University, and then I did my residency in internal medicine. So we came here about 20-something years ago. I was working through the Mercy system at that time, and we loved it. But we had some family issues. My wife, unfortunately, had cancer, and we had to go home, I mean, closer to home, to her home, and to have family help and stuff. So, but we loved Arkansas. In Northwest Arkansas has a way of grabbing you and never letting you go. So we always wanted to come back here. So eventually, about 3 years ago, we came back with the purpose of providing these services to this population, and it worked out really well. So kind of that's in a nutshell. My professional background has been hospitalist work. So I've been working in the hospital for many years. I have many leadership positions on that. I was the medical director of very large hospital services, hospitalist services, but my desire was always to provide better care to this population, and unfortunately in our country we're not doing that. So that's the whole reason why we decided that coming back to this heaven, which is Northwest Arkansas, was a great opportunity, and providing these services for this population ended up being the best decision we made in our lives, So. Mm-hmm.
And these are not private pay concierge services.
Yeah, so there is a difference. So there are some doctors and this is a very popular service, which it has a way to providing good care. But if our purpose is to increase access of care for this population, asking for a monthly fee, even if it's just a little bit of dollars, it's a deterrent to increase access of care to this population. So most of our senior population live in a very fixed income, and asking for money for service, and that's what concierge services do. And I'm not blaming them. I mean, if you can afford it, fine, great. But what we want to provide is increase access of care, so we avoid that. So we try to provide all our services through the insurance companies that they have. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That seems hard to achieve.
It is. So it's very, very hard. And in fact, it's very incredible to me and to many of my expert friends that I have. I have friends that work in very big companies because of my relationships in my previous leadership roles. And they can't believe that what we're doing is being done through the shortcomings that we have by billing all our services through the insurance company. So, but we're able to do that. And it's all because we have a goal, which the goal is to improve health services for this population, decrease hospitalization rates in a meaningful way. And we know in the country that this population in particular is the most expensive population. So it's very hard to understand that, but like a third of the GDP is spent in healthcare services. A third of that is spent on this particular population. So your population that currently is seeing us today are the most expensive population in the healthcare system, but we're spending those dollars in the wrong places. So we're doing all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, most of this money is spent in the hospital and ER visits, and we're not providing this preventative care that we should be doing at home, so that we don't go to the hospital. We don't spend the money in such a way that is so expensive. So, and the country as it is projected that we'll be bankrupt in a few years because of the expenditures we do in this population. So my dream was always to provide better care within the constraints of the billing services and the reimbursement from the insurance companies, and provide that care for this population. And we actually did it. We are actually very successful doing that, and we're very happy with that. So
that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So to our seniors out there, if they engage your services, do they give up their primary care doctor at that point, or do you work with?
So that is so if they want us to be a primary care services, that would be like any other primary care services. The difference is I'll come to you. So, and we not only do that, but we also provide services such as labs and X-rays, and we do IV hydration. Those are services that if you go and do a Google search, you'll find a bunch of clinics that do IV hydration, but they're very, very expensive. $300-$400 for a bag of IV fluids. We don't charge anything. It's part of the system, the program that we provide. So so that's what happens.
So let me get this right. You take the lab and you take the X-ray machine to them.
Yeah. So we do the labs, we do X-ray. So we try to provide as much services that we can at home, so they don't have to go anywhere. So we know that going to the doctor's clinic is difficult sometimes, and you can attest. Many of your viewers today are probably nodding their head saying, oh yeah, if I have to go to the doctor, I have to ask my son, my daughter, or I have to get a transportation, figure out how to do that. It's difficult. So, and there was a study done a few years back that says that for a patient to go from their home, whether it's an independent living facility, assisted living facility, or home, to the doctor's office for a 10-minute visit, it takes 3 hours of their life, so of that day. So it's a long process for them to go to the doctor for just a 10-minute service. So, but we get to go to your home and spend that time actually, talking to you and figuring out what's wrong, and we can provide a plan that will improve your health, so.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of your time is also spent in some of our facilities in Northwest Arkansas. So you will go into independent, assisted, will you go into nursing homes also?
So we do, currently we see patients at home, independent living and assisted living facilities. We have not done work in nursing homes. The rules and working in nursing homes are a little bit different.
Okay.
But we are hoping that eventually we'll be able to work with nursing homes, but currently we don't do any work there. But we are concentrated on this kind of like pre-nursing home type of care. As you know, and not many people know, but most of your viewers know that you go from home, then you go to independent living facility, then you go to an assisted living facility, then you go to a nursing home. The expenditures incrementally are worse. So, and by the time you get in a nursing home, you're spending huge amounts of money to live there. So it's not a good thing. So what we wanna do is keep you where you are for as long as possible. So if you live at home, we want you to die at home, age at home, be happy at home, and we try to provide those services that will allow you to stay there. Or we try to delay the progression in care to the point where, you may not be in a nursing home for long. And not so much because we think that you live better where you live, and the stress of moving and having to acquire more resources to try to take care of yourself is very expensive, and we don't want to do that for our patients. So what we do is we try to provide the services that will keep them where they are as long as possible. So, and thus we not only save the money to the whole overall healthcare expenditures we have in the country, but also for the patient themselves. So they don't have to spend an average independent assisted living facility. We're talking about $5,000-$6,000 a month. So, but if you stay home and you already paid your home off because you're elderly, and we can provide those services at home, then you don't have to go to those places. So we're very preventative. So such as example of the IV fluids, this is a product that we use, and there's a reason why we use the product, because most elderly patients are dehydrated. So, and there's a lot of physiological reasons for that. I'm dehydrated because I never drink enough water, but elderly patients are worse because their brains don't work as good as they used to. Everything ages over time, so they don't get thirsty and they get dehydrated. So why not provide a $2-3 bag of IV fluids for the patients at home? And one of the most common reasons why this population goes to the hospital or to the ER is because of dehydration. So an average stay in an ER is about $5,000. An average stay in a hospital is $20,000. So we're talking these like incredible expenditures as the access of care becomes more complicated for this population. So for us, it's like spending a $3 bag or a couple dollar antibiotic is so much better, not only for the patient but for the overall expenditures in the country. So that's why we try to provide all the services as much as possible. Obviously, if you are having a heart attack, if you're having a stroke, you gotta go to the hospital. There's a reason why we have hospital, but not for little things. And 1/3 of this expenditure that we do, out of that third of the GDP that we use, most of that is spent on inappropriate admissions to the hospital. So these are patients that shouldn't be in the hospital, but they are. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to do this program, because that was my problem when I was a hospitalist. When I was working in the hospital, I would see these elderly patients coming to the hospital for a simple urinary tract infection, or they're dehydrated, and I always blame the primary care physician. I would say, why is it that these patients are not getting better care? But the reality is they're not getting care because the whole care system is set up the wrong way. It's not designed to take care of elderly patients. So we had, and I can talk this for hours, but we made that study within our program and said, how long does it take when the patient gets the first symptom to the time where they need to have some type of medical intervention. And we were actually beyond surprised that this time was only about 12 hours. So we thought it would be 2-3 days, but it was 12 hours. So then if you think just on that, if you are sick and you're 85 years old, you get a little fever or you get some urinary urgency that may mean that you have a urinary tract infection, and it takes only 12 hours, and you call your primary care physician to make an appointment, you're not going to get an appointment within 12 hours. Right. You're going to get 2 or 3 days, a week later, and it's too late. So it's impossible. So the way the healthcare is set up is impossible to intervene early enough to make a difference in patient's health. So that's the whole reason why we decided that, hey, we gotta be where the patient needs us at the time they need us, and if we do those simple things, we provide good care. And we have incredibly successful on this. We have actually reduced admissions to the hospital by 70%, which is very, very, very revolutionary. So
wow, that's amazing. Well, we have to take just a short pause. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I get to talk on this, and I'll talk for hours.
This is great. We're just going to take a short pause, and we'll be right back.
Experience the Macadoodles difference. Shop leisurely in our friendly and spacious store 7 days a week. Browse our wine cellar. We offer the top labels and hot new wines. Wide aisles, hardwood floors, and easy-to-find, well-lit displays make shopping enjoyable. Customers are our #1 priority. If you can't find something, our courteous staff will assist you, and we'll even help you to your car with your purchase. World-class customer service. Largest and best selection in the area. Low prices. Experience the Macadoodles difference today.
Yeah, that's
wow.
crazy.
So we just took a short pause, and I want to go back to, because I heard a startling 70%.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. So and people don't understand this. So for example, if a healthcare system says, we all understand. So this is not a new concept. The concept that this population is the most expensive population is not a new concept. All insurance companies know. The country knows, all the Medicare knows. We all are trying to do something for this population to provide that relief and expenditures to this population. But if a system achieves a 3% reduction, there is a huge party. There is celebrations because we're amazing at that. We're doing an amazing job. But we have done it in such a way that it's unheard of. 70% is such a huge number and such a difference maker that it's difficult to understand. I'm surprised how good we did it and how good we're doing. And because I'm a population health expert and I know what it means to have a 70% reduction. So it's pretty amazing. So and we want to spread the word. We want to tell people we're a very unknown. We're a small practice relatively, and we're the biggest program in Northwest Arkansas, but overall we're small, but we have big dreams. We want to change the way healthcare is delivered in the country, not just in Northwest Arkansas. We thought, why not Northwest Arkansas? Why not Arkansas be the pioneer in making this change in the healthcare system? And that's what we're doing. We're hoping that eventually the whole country will be providing services similar to what we're doing in order to provide a significant decrease in expenditure. But it's not just about money, it's all about the patient. So I want the patients to live longer and be happier, and that is achieved by them being at home and staying in their environment for as long as possible. And ultimately that's what makes me happy. Not so much that we've had these incredible numbers, but ultimately it makes me happy that my patients are happy and they're staying at home and they don't have to, change their whole environment just because they went to the hospital, they broke a bone, and now they have to go to rehab, and now they have to go to a nursing home. They never go back to home,
Right.
And it's just sad to see our patients do that. So.
Yes, and we don't want to see that decline because it's unnecessary in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's very preventative. Now, I'm not saying that will prevent everybody's, but I would say that will prevent the majority of patients. They have a much better product that provides better care for them, and it reduces that escalation in care. Hence, it's better for them, and it's a better solution as a healthcare issue in the country. So that's why, I always tell people, why not Northwest Arkansas? It's a difficult thing to make a change in the country, but the way we're going, we're not going to have America as it is in about 30 to 50 years, you know? So the beautiful country with all the opportunities that we have is not going to be here because of these uncontrolled expenditures in healthcare. So if we don't make changes today, we're not going to be around, you know, in 30 years.
Right.
So I am an immigrant to this country. I am very grateful to this country. I have all the opportunities. I made it to medical school in this country. I went through all my training in this country, and I've had all these opportunities because of the beauty of the freedom of this country. So I want this country to be available for my grandchildren, and we have to make those changes. And I always tell people, if you have, you know, if you are a visionary person, why not make those changes from here, from Northwest Arkansas? So that's why we're so excited to be able to work in this environment within this population and be so successful so far. So,
One thing, when I was looking at the website, talk about wound care. I had no idea as a service that would make such a difference.
Yeah, it is. It's like one of the things that we have, one of the problems that our population have sometimes is that a lot of patients have difficulty moving. Like they stay in a chair, or they have a bad knee or hip or whatever. They're just elderly. And a lot of those patients develop wounds. You know, like if you stay in a chair for a long time, you will develop what we call pressure wounds, and they need care. So currently the way the healthcare is set up is patients need to go to a wound care clinic, and they go and they see them and all that stuff. So, and then most of the time they do good care, but we provide wound care services at home, and we do very specialized care. We have an incredible team. I always tell all the people around, I always say, if I ever have a wound, I would want my basis team, wound team to do the work, because we are exceptional at it. So, and we have multiple examples, and we've been putting that in our website, telling them, you know, spreading the words, and like, hey, we're doing a great job. You should look at us, you know, and that's what we do. So we do provide wound care to the point where we use sophisticated methods, including skin substitutes, and we do you know, ultrasound care, and with all those things to improve better rates for wound care. And I mean, I can tell you horror stories and very successful stories because of the work that we do with wound care. So.
And I also know that I saw urgent care. You've recently added that. How does that work?
So urgent care is a way of providing care at home. So it's like any urgent care, and you know, there's many from the different healthcare systems here. Normally, they're standing buildings where you have to go and get urgent care. You know, I have a sore throat. I have a possible urinary tract infection or whatever. So we provide those services, but at home. So you could call our office and say, you know what, I love my primary care physician. I've been with this primary care physician for 50 years, and I don't want to change now, but I do have this issue. So we'll be happy to come and do that care at your home. So, and that is also an effort to provide better access to care for this population. So we feel like we were providing these services for a patient panel that we have, our primary care patients, but now we want to do, what can we not do a little bit bigger? You know, let's work bigger. Let's do population health in our brains. You know, we're thinking we want to do bigger, so we thought that by doing urgent care, we could actually maybe make a difference in these underserved populations. So these urgent care is for everybody. You can be 30 years old, 20 years old, a child, and you will be happy to come to your home. But we get excited when we see a senior calling us and say, hey, you know what, I tried to call my primary care physician. I can't get a hold of them. I think I have a urinary tract infection. I'm very sick. Can you come? And we'll come to your home and take care of you. So this is simple. It's not complicated. For patients going to the hospital, the three most common reasons why they go to the hospital is urinary tract infections, pneumonias, and dehydration. So it's really crazy to think that they're the simplest things. If you ask any doctor in this country, they'll say, well, I can treat a urinary tract infection, I can treat a pneumonia, and I can treat dehydration. But you know, it never happens, or it's too late. So they need, you know, intensive care this time, you know. So those are simple things that we provide, but we try to do that through not only our primary care services, but also through our urgent care services. So.
Is anybody else doing what you're doing in the rest of the country?
Not the way we do. Not the way we do. We are very, and this is translated from my experience. So that's why we call medical practices, because we all practice on the different things that we do.
Right.
So every practice is different, depending on the experience of the the lead physician. So what we are doing is revolutionary in the sense that my experience as a hospitalist with extensive history of managing very sick patients in the hospitals provide me a way of seeing these patients in a way that I can prevent that escalation of care. So the way we're doing it is much better. And the most important thing is we're doing it all within constraints of the billing that we do. The healthcare, is not the best. We get less money by going to the patient's home. So you would think we'll get a little bit pay more, and it makes sense that we would. But a patient in a clinic will make a little bit more money by seeing a patient in the clinic rather than being at home. But we understand that it's a new thing that we're doing. We're hoping that as we keep on going and spreading the word, we'll eventually, get that money back,
Right.
and hopefully that the insurance companies will recognize what we're doing for their businesses. We've saved a lot of money to them. They don't know about it. They have no idea that we're doing this kind of work, but we are happy to, talk to them. But eventually, I'm hoping that they'll recognize these, and it's not so much about money. What I'm saying is that as they recognize this program, what I want is I want them to spread it out all over the country. What's what we want? We want to make a holistic, all country change. That's what we want, and we want to make Northwest Arkansas the epicenter of that. So.
How long does that take in your vision? How long would you like that to take?
So the country needs to change, or we're not going to be successful. I'm hoping that that people will keep on taking chances on that. But reality is making changes in the healthcare system is very difficult. There is a lot of power for people that are making a lot of money. That's difficult to make those changes. So we're always looking for that maverick that has the power to give us the chance to show that we actually do this work, that our 70% actually can be achieved all over the country, that we can scale this business as big as we want to, which is nationwide. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I've been doing this dream of mine has been forever, but we've been here 3 years, and we started 3 years by myself, and today we have 17 employees. We have a lot more resources. We have a whole team that we're doing. So it's been pretty quick how we've grown, and I'm hoping that will be the same kind of rate of progress and growth for the dream that we have, which is to change the way healthcare is delivered in the country. So
it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like it's been longer.
I know.
Because
It
the
seems
growth
like
has just.
Yeah, it's been humbling for us, but also it tells me something. It tells me that the healthcare system needs those changes. It tells me that what we are providing is needed. So it tells me that there is hope that we can actually become. So I'm a dreamer. And people, when I started saying these things, people think, oh, you're crazy, you're not going to achieve that. When I came to this country and I said to someone, I couldn't even speak English, and I said, I want to go to medical school, people were laughing at me, like thinking, you can't even speak English, or from another country, a third world country, there's no way. I didn't know at that time making it to medical school was going to be so difficult. But I did it because I'm a dreamer, and I work hard, and I'm a little smart, and I want to make sure that we get there. So I think I can do the same here. And I don't think I'm out of bounds by saying that we can make a change. We need help. We need to spread the word. That's why I'm here. We need to tell people and tell elderly patients, hey, come to us. We'll provide better care for you. But also help us to get to that point. The more patient population we have, the more patients we have, the better statistical numbers we can produce. So there's these, p-values and all these other things that we use in the statistics to be able to provide better care. The bigger the population we have, the better numbers we'll provide, the better years we're going to have from insurance companies, the country, Medicare, the government, all of those things. So we want more patients in order to make better arguments to the state, to the country overall, that what we well, we need to change. And I want Northwest Arkansas, the love I feel for Northwestern that was started 20 years ago. I still love this area. I'm the happiest I've ever been, and I want this area to be the epicenter of change. So, and I think that we'll achieve it. I think so. Why not? Why not? So.
I think you will. I think you will.
So. I hope so.
I'm on Team Basis Health now, so I want to thank Dr. Lazarte for coming in today. Busy gentleman, we really appreciate all the information that he's given us. You can go to basishealth.org, and I'm sure the telephone number is up there. Please reach out. Urgent care, wound care, IV fluids, primary care, whatever you need, and especially if you're a senior out there, this is such an amazing resource, such an amazing resource. Very excited about the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next time.